Welcome to the Erotic Realm podcast, where we explore the psychology of darker desires. I'm Em, and if you're new here, welcome. I'm a psychosexuality nerd with a background in psychology, sociology, medical science, and Tantra. I'm also in a 24/7 collared relationship, and I created this podcast with the mission of humanizing kinksters. Join me here for one-on-one, in-depth conversations as we explore the fascinating world of eroticism, one erotic realm at a time. If you love what we're doing here in the erotic realm, I'd like to ask you a quick favor. Can you follow and rate the show wherever you listen? It helps the show reach more people like you. And if you haven't yet, I'd love if you could subscribe to my Substack, Psychology of Desire. This is where I go even deeper into the science and symbolism of desire, archetypes, and erotic evolution. You'll get access to articles, unique surveys and research, and behind-the-scenes access to everything I'm building. Simply visit psychologyofdesire.substack.com. I'll see you there. And now, for today's episode. What you're about to hear in this episode is something a little different. They're not full interviews, and they're not complete stories. They're also not meant to represent anyone's entire erotic identity. What you're about to hear are peak erotic experiences, moments shared on the erotic realm over the past year that stood out not just for their intensity, but for their psychological depth. These are the moments that people remember, the moments that linger long after the scene ends. The moments that quietly reorganize how someone understands their own desire. A peak erotic experience isn't necessarily the most extreme thing that someone has done. It isn't always the most explicit, and it isn't even always about orgasm. Peak erotic experiences are moments where desire, meaning, and emotional intensity converge. They often feel distinct, almost outside of ordinary time, as though something essential was crossed, revealed, or claimed. The psychologist who gave us the clearest language for understanding this was Jack Morin in his book, The Erotic Mind. Morin wasn't interested in cataloguing kinks or sexual techniques. Instead, he asked people a deceptively simple question. What was the most erotic experience of your life? And what he found was striking. Across genders, orientations, relationships, and sexual styles, people's peak erotic experiences followed similar psychological patterns. What mattered most wasn't what people did, but how desire interacted with tension. Morin observed that peak erotic experiences tend to arise when desire meets an obstacle, something that resists it, a line that feels risky to cross. There's often emotional exposure, being seen, surrendering control, admitting a truth, or allowing oneself to want what once felt forbidden. Power frequently plays a role, sometimes explicitly. Sometimes it's more subtle, a shift in polarity, trust, or psychological position. Many peak experiences involve permission to feel, permission to cross an internal boundary, permission to become someone slightly different on the other side of the moment. And often people describe entering a different state altogether. Time distorts, awareness narrows, the body becomes intensely present. In this way, peak erotic experiences are less about sex itself and more about states of being. As you listen to the moments that follow, I invite you not to focus on the specifics of what's being described, although that's certainly fun. Instead, I invite you to listen to where the tension lives, where the risk appears, where permission is granted, where power shifts, where something internal changes. These excerpts are offered not as a spectacle, but as glimpses into how the erotic mind actually works when it's most alive. What follows are selected peak erotic experiences shared on the erotic realm this year. If you'd like to explore the erotic realm of one of them more fully, I've listed the episodes they are from in the show notes below. I invite you to listen slowly and notice what resonates. Who knows? You may even be inspired to explore a new experience that may become a peak erotic experience for you one day. Enjoy. Now we're speaking about fantasies. It's a good time for me to ask you about a peak sexual experience that you've had. So what comes to mind when I ask you, what's one of the best sexual experiences that you've had in your whole journey?
My whole journey. I think one happened quite a few years ago where it was one of those ones that there was sexual tension. There was a small group of us, and we started at a pub, and for some reason, I'm very much into energy, positive energy, and vibe. I love listening to people and looking and observing and all that. And the vibe was amazing. And within like an hour, and I think there was 7 of us, all 7 of us were on top of the world. Sexually, all of us were at our peak. So it was decided that we'd go back to a friend's flat, and we got back there, and we had a couple more drinks, and then we'll continue to flirt. And then I think it was me who just stood up and undressed and said, "Here I am. You've got 2 minutes to join me." And after that, it was a mix of kink and hedonism, and there was guy with guy and female with female, and then it was all in. But it was actually unexpected. It wasn't how we went out to start. Mm-hmm. You know, we were all friends, but we certainly weren't all sexual partners, you know. So I think that whole unexpected side of it was very powerful.
Are you able to share with us a peak sexual experience that you've had and why it was a peak experience for you?
Okay, I can. I'll do 2 because I sort of like to compare and contrast them. Mm-hmm. So I am really into prolonged play, which is like over the course of days or weeks. So with a former partner, I did like a week-long confinement scene, and then with a different partner more recently, I did a 2-week-long continuous captivity kind of thing. They were both very different experiences. At least the first one was much more physically harrowing in the sense that I was actually locked in a basement, and it wasn't like a primped out basement. It was like a basement. And there weren't a lot of facilities, and the food and water, like all of it was very metered. And the person that I did it with was not actually, well, the relationship around the broader relationship was quite abusive. So while that experience was peak in a lot of ways, it wasn't in the best settings. The second one, it was 2 weeks long, and it wasn't captivity to that degree. Like I was in my house, and but basically my only point of contact was this person and nobody else. And it was like a continuous scene, so like you don't really exit out of it. So like there was a lot of structure around it. And that one is in a relationship that I love, and with a person that I love extremely much, who is very invested in my well-being. And both of them were extremely intense, and both of them like taught me a shit ton about myself. So like one of the things is like, what can you live without? Like, because we live this existence where like everything's accessible, right? Like I live in a super rural part of my country, but even I operate with impunity on the front that like anything I really need and want, I can have at any moment that I want. Whereas this kind of experience, it really shows you what you can live without. You can live without functioning running water so long as you have a metered dosage coming at you every 6 hours. You can live without compassion, you can live without all of these things, and it'll enable you to inhabit the kind of experience that outside of this context would be terrible. Like deprivation of this kind only happens when your country goes through like a human rights crisis, or like when there's been an extreme loss of civil liberties for very bad reasons. But you can take your relationship and recreate that kind of strife for yourself, and that's cool. It's amazing that you can do that within the context of a desirable experience. And that allows you to actually engage with the experience without having to worry about being okay after it's over, because you know that you're fundamentally okay. So I would say that was the peak sexual experience for me, both of them. And both of them, like they cause permanent changes in me in some ways, permanent changes also in like how I engage with those partners. Like the first one, it gave me tremendous water insecurity. I can literally never be without my water bottle. It was 10 years ago and I still can't do it. And I will still, like, I cannot go to bed if there aren't 2 liters of water by my nightstand. I am a very water drinky person, as I think all humans are, but that really did make me insecure. And with the second one, it changed how I receive certain sexual acts from my partner forever, especially like the penetrative sexual act. It changed the context of that from intimacy to something much more detached. And something, but not detached in an undesirable way. Detached in a, can you take this thing that has for ages been considered the center of sexual relationships with heterosexual people and turn it into a minuscule act that doesn't even connect you? And yeah, it's like that. So, I mean, overall, I love it, but it sounds a bit dispassionate.
Wow. One thing that's always stuck out happened when I was a kid. I had a real good friend. He's passed away since, but his girlfriend was a drop dead gorgeous little baby doll, and a bunch of us kind of lived together in a house, together, I guess you'd call it a polycule now, we called it a commune back in the day, but I guess they could call it a polycule.
Yeah.
But anyway, I remember one night I accidentally walked in on them, and they invited me to join, which I did. And that was wow! I'll never forget that.
Because
that
you weren't expecting it, and it happened organically.
Yeah, well, I'd known both of them forever and a day,
Yep. So
and I wasn't expecting it. I had never alluded to the fact that I was interested in that, but just walked in, and they're like, "Hey, come join us."
Fun.
Yeah, so I did. Yeah, it was great too. God, she was a beautiful girl. Beautiful girl. Yeah.
How you talk about? Yeah.
I was going to say, there's, some things never change. Stuff we see today that people would say, "Oh, that's so scandalous." Well, we were doing that 50 years ago. We just had different names for it. So forget the scandalous. You were playing too. I remember you. So yeah, it's some. The older things get, the less they change. Sometimes it's been going on forever.
Yep, that's very true. Humans have always been kinky, always been very sexual creatures. It just evolves and shows up in different ways. Definitely.
Yeah, and they just give it different names. Each generation calls it something different.
Oh gosh. Recently, sex work has certainly given me some experiences. I'll tell you something interesting. Kind of goes with the masochism. I had a customer who creates stories for people. He calls women and he creates stories for them. that arouses him, arouses and makes them orgasm. That's his thing. And so we did it, and we talked about different things and more dark elements. So he created an environment and a story that was so amazing that at the end, it was like an hour and a half call.
Whoa.
At the end of it, I was so relaxed and so deep and aroused into it that my pain went away. As if it was, I don't know what happened, but I know it's not this. Oh yeah, it is, because I did orgasm, but it's a very unique experience that I will never forget. Never. I didn't think that I could gain so much pleasure by someone telling me a story.
Can I ask how long the pain went away for? Was it hours, minutes, days?
Oh, unfortunately. Oh man, that would be amazing. But probably an hour. An hour is usually the standard of any sort of kink for me.
Okay.
But it was definitely a more relaxed state of mind as well. Almost meditative. It was, it was a wild experience. And I hope he never listens to this, but you never know. But that was the most amazing sexual experience that I've had. And I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. It's a testament to the power of story, right? And how much we resonate with story. And it's also really fascinating because it was an experience you had without another person physically there. And it was so powerful in that it had such an impact on your body to the point where you didn't experience pain for an hour. Just that's so powerful. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, you're welcome. It's amazing. Yeah.
I love it.
I'm happy. I'm glad. Thank you for the opportunity to share it.
I was topped by 3 women.
Fun.
Yeah. And it wasn't by design. I was just a poor little vessel who had to be played with and tortured and teased and edged by 3 sadistic, lovely friends of mine. I'm not entirely sure whose idea it was. I think it just evolved. We were a group of us sitting on a couch, and we were watching, oh God, I don't know, something silly like Bridget Jones or something, because I love those films. Someone actually it was my partner, starts to tease me, and she's teasing me and knowing that the others will see it. And that was playful, but then they fucking joined in, and I'm like, oh my God, okay. I don't know what I did in my past life to deserve this, but thank you. And it was suggested that I need to be blindfolded and tied down and tortured. And I, of course, said, oh no, don't do that to me. But yeah, I consented, and they did exactly that, blindfolded me and held me down and proceeded to flog and whip and scratch and then do wax, and out came the Doxy, which is a fairly heavy-duty vibrator, and they start using the Doxy on me, and every time they could see I was about to finish, they'd stop. And I was like, oh, this is so awful but amazing at the same time, this tease, this tension. And they continued to I guess tease and torture me for a while, and they saw me getting close to finishing a second time and stopped. And I was like, oh my God, this is unbearable. A third time came and went, and still nothing. And they're just laughing and giggling and like having an absolute blast of a time. Then they're still clothed. I'm the only one naked, and it's a hell of a time. And the funniest part of it comes when they decide I've been good. I've taken this very well, and that I'm allowed to finish. And so all the attention is given to make that happen. And I've been edging for so long. When the moment came, I couldn't. I what's the word? Plateaued. I plateaued so badly, and I yelled out so loud. I was like, no! Ah! Fuck! They just roared with laughter. They thought that was the most funniest thing ever, and I had to laugh with them too. And very quickly, the attention turned to my partner, and then suddenly it was like, oh, that's funny, was it? Well, it's your turn. Boom. And then the tables turned. The whole experience was unbelievable. So erotic, so sexy, and playful as well. And the play and the giggles and the laughs and the squirming and the wriggling and the resisting and the safety I felt with them, the trust that we had meant there was nothing was off the table, and I had no idea what was happening or who was doing it to me because I was blindfolded. And the sensory deprivation was exquisite. And I think there are other things I could have said which would be like a mega brag. And to me, they're not mega brags. This was absolutely just delicious. Mwah.
Yeah, play.
And, if they're listening, they know who they are. Sex witching.
Yeah, play in a sexual session as well as being tortured with pleasure is something else. So I can see why that stands out in your mind as a peak experience.
Absolutely peak experience.
Thank you for listening to The Erotic Realm. If this episode stirred something in you, please take a moment to follow the show, leave a rating, or write a review on wherever you're listening. It helps more people find the show and brings visibility to this deeper conversation about eroticism and self-understanding. I'd also like to invite you to dive deeper into the psychology of desire, including my writing, research, and upcoming courses over at psychologyofdesire.com. And if you want the full experience, join thousands of curious minds on my Substack at psychologyofdesire.substack.com. This is where I release the Psychology of Desire case files, behind-the-scenes thoughts, and intimate reflections every week, plus more. Until next time, stay curious, stay embodied, and keep exploring. Also, as always, stay perverted.